Have you ever watched someone manipulate an entire dinner table and wondered if you were the only one who saw through their scheme? I should have known something was wrong the moment Scarlett Mitchell walked into Moretti's 30 minutes late, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor like a countdown timer to disaster. My husband Liam had turned 30 that morning, and I had spent weeks planning this dinner with his family. Nothing extravagant, just a nice meal at a restaurant that had decent reviews and prices that wouldn't completely demolish our budget. We had 12 people total, Liam's parents Thomas and Eleanor, his brother Hudson and Hudson's wife Scarlett, his sister Mia and her husband Carter, another brother named Oliver with his girlfriend Sophie, and us. I had called ahead, made the reservation, even mentioned it was a birthday celebration so they would bring out something special for dessert. The thing about Scarlett is that she always manages to make herself the center of attention, even when it is someone else's special day. She works in real estate, sells luxury homes to wealthy clients, and never lets anyone forget it. She drives a white Mercedes, wears clothes with visible designer labels, and has this way of making you feel small without saying anything directly insulting. It is all in the tone, the subtle implications, the way she touches your shoulder while making a comment about how brave you are to wear something so affordable. I had been dealing with her particular brand of passive aggression for 3 years, ever since she married Hudson. At first, I tried to like her, I really did. But every family gathering became a performance where Scarlett demonstrated her superiority through carefully calculated gestures of false generosity. She would insist on picking up coffee for everyone, then mention how much it cost. She would bring expensive wine to dinner parties, then comment on how she could tell the difference between the good stuff and whatever the rest of us were drinking. She made sure everyone knew she was successful, generous, and better than the rest of us in every measurable way. But I had never seen her pull anything quite like what happened that night at Moretti's. We had arrived at 7, right on time, and everyone else trickled in over the next 15 minutes. Everyone except Scarlett. Hudson kept checking his phone, looking embarrassed, mumbling apologies about how she had a last-minute showing that ran late. Thomas and Eleanor were already seated, looking distinguished as always in their business casual attire. Thomas ran an accounting firm, Eleanor was a retired teacher, and they had the kind of quiet dignity that made you want to impress them. I had seated myself strategically next to Liam, across from Mia and Carter. I liked Mia, she was kind and genuine, worked as a nurse and had no patience for Scarlett's nonsense. We had bonded over many eye rolls at various family functions. Oliver and Sophie were at the far end, both young and sweet, still in that honeymoon phase where everything is perfect. The server, a young woman named Emma, had taken our drink orders and given us menus. I had already looked at the prices online and done the math in my head. Liam and I could afford about $70 to $80 total if we were careful. I had been saving money all year for our 5th anniversary trip in 3 months, a long weekend in Charleston that would cost around $940 including hotel, meals, and activities. Every dollar mattered, and I had been so careful, packing lunches for work, skipping my morning coffee runs, canceling subscription services we did not really need. Then Scarlett arrived. She swept in wearing a crimson dress that probably cost more than my monthly car payment, her dark hair perfectly styled, carrying what I recognized as a limited edition designer handbag. She air-kissed everyone, apologized profusely about being late, and immediately flagged down Emma. Before anyone could say anything, before we had even ordered food, Scarlett announced that she was treating everyone to wine. She ordered 3 bottles of Barolo, $85 each according to the wine list I had been studying. She waved away Hudson's half-hearted protest, insisted it was her contribution to the celebration, and told Emma to bring them out right away. Thomas and Eleanor smiled, clearly impressed by the gesture. Mia caught my eye and raised an eyebrow. I felt my stomach tighten but told myself it would be fine. She said she was treating, right? The wine arrived, was poured, and Scarlett made a toast about Liam turning 30 and how proud we should all be of how far he had come in his career. Liam worked in software development, made a decent salary, but we were still paying off his student loans and trying to build our savings. The toast was lovely and felt genuine, and I started to relax. Maybe I had been too hard on her, maybe she really was just trying to do something nice. Then she ordered appetizers. She did not ask anyone what they wanted, she just told Emma to bring out the bruschetta sampler, the calamari, the burrata plate, and the charcuterie board. I watched the words leave her mouth and mentally calculated the damage. The menu prices were right there, $12 for bruschetta, $18 for calamari, $16 for burrata, $24 for the charcuterie. $70 in appetizers that no one had agreed to. Hudson looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Thomas and Eleanor were chatting with Oliver and Sophie about wedding plans. They were engaged and planning a ceremony for next spring. Mia was telling Carter about a difficult patient she had dealt with at the hospital. Everyone was distracted, happy, celebrating. I leaned over to Liam and whispered that Scarlett was ordering a lot. He squeezed my hand under the table and whispered back that it was fine. She was probably picking up the tab for the wine and apps since she had been late. That made sense. That was exactly the kind of thing Scarlett would do to make herself look good. I relaxed again, ordered the chicken marsala for $22 and Liam got the pasta primavera for $18. Our total would be $40 plus our soft drinks, well within budget. The appetizers arrived and were distributed around the table. Everyone took small portions, thanking Scarlett for her generosity. She smiled graciously, said it was nothing, and then ordered for herself. She got the Wagyu steak, the most expensive entree on the menu at $95. She also ordered a side of truffle fries for $12 and a Caesar salad for $9. $116 just for a meal. Mia's eyes widened. Carter coughed into his napkin. Hudson was staring at his menu like it held the secrets of the universe. Eleanor asked Scarlett if the steak was good here. She had been thinking about ordering it. Scarlett said it was divine, absolutely worth every penny, and that Eleanor should absolutely get it too. But Eleanor laughed and said it was a bit much for her appetite. She would stick with the salmon for $32. Everyone else ordered, sensible choices, reasonable prices. Carter got a burger for $19. Mia got pasta for $23. Oliver and Sophie split a pizza for $28. Hudson ordered the pork chop for $34. I did the math compulsively in my head. Everyone was staying under $40 per person except Scarlett, who had blown past $100. The meal was pleasant, the food was good, conversation flowed easily. Liam was happy, laughing with his brothers, telling stories from work. Thomas was in a great mood. Eleanor kept patting my hand and thanking me for organizing everything. For a while, I forgot about the money and just enjoyed being part of this family that I loved. Then the check came. Emma brought it in a leather folder and set it in the middle of the table. There was a moment of awkward silence, that universal pause when everyone wonders who is going to take responsibility for the bill. Scarlett reached for it immediately. She opened the folder, studied the receipt for a moment, and then announced brightly that we should split it evenly among the couples. My brain stuttered. Split it evenly. I must have looked confused because she explained, speaking slowly like she was talking to a child, that it would be easier for everyone if we just divided the total by 6 couples and each paid our share. That way there was no complicated math, no fighting over who had what, just simple and fair. Mia said that did not really seem fair since some people had ordered more than others. Scarlett laughed, a tinkling sound that set my teeth on edge, and said that was the whole point of splitting evenly, so that no one had to feel bad about what they ordered. It was a celebration after all. Thomas said that sounded fine to him, easier than itemizing everything. Eleanor agreed, said it was what they always did with their friends. Hudson was looking at his phone, clearly trying to avoid the conversation. Scarlett pulled out her phone and opened the calculator app. The total was $1,122 with tax and tip already included. Divided by 6 couples, that came to $187 per couple. I felt the blood drain from my face. Liam went very still beside me. $187. That was almost $200 for a meal that we had budgeted $70 for. That was 20% of my anniversary trip fund, gone in one dinner because Scarlett had ordered 3 bottles of expensive wine, 5 appetizers, and a Wagyu steak without asking anyone first. I opened my mouth to protest, but Scarlett was already moving on, asking if everyone wanted to put it on one card or if we should do separate payments. Mia was pulling out her wallet. Carter was already handing over his credit card. Oliver looked a little pale, but Sophie was nodding, saying it was fine. I looked at Liam and he looked back at me, and I could see the same panic in his eyes. We could not afford this. Well, technically we could. We had the money in our account, but it meant sacrificing something else. It meant taking money from our carefully planned anniversary trip, the trip I had been looking forward to for months, the trip that was supposed to be our reward for being so financially responsible all year. But what could we say? Everyone else was agreeing. Thomas and Eleanor were already discussing who would put it on their card and settle up later, and Scarlett was looking at me with this expectant smile that felt like a challenge. If I protested now, I would look cheap. I would look like I was making a scene at Liam's birthday dinner. I would be the difficult daughter-in-law who could not afford to go to a nice restaurant and ruin the evening by complaining about money. Scarlett knew exactly what she was doing. I could see it in her eyes, that glint of satisfaction, the way she was watching me, waiting to see if I would embarrass myself. I pulled out my wallet slowly, feeling like I was moving through water. Liam put his hand on my arm, leaned in close, and whispered that we would figure it out. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. That was when Emma came back to collect the cards, and something in her expression caught my attention. She looked uncomfortable, kept glancing at Scarlett, and then she did something unexpected. She asked if we wanted separate itemized receipts for our records. Scarlett said quickly that we did not need that, we were all splitting evenly. But Emma looked directly at me and said the restaurant policy was to offer itemized receipts to all parties, and she would be happy to print them out. It would only take a moment. There was something in her tone, something deliberate, like she was trying to tell me something. I said yes, we would like itemized receipts, before Scarlett could shut it down again. Scarlett's smile tightened, but she could not exactly argue with restaurant policy. Emma disappeared and returned a minute later with receipts for everyone, each one showing exactly what that person or couple had ordered and what it cost. I looked down at ours. Chicken marsala for $22, pasta primavera for $18, 2 soft drinks for $3.50 each. Our total was $47 before the evenly distributed tax and tip. I looked at the other receipts that people were examining. Mia and Carter, $68. Oliver and Sophie, $53. Thomas and Eleanor, $79. Hudson's pork chop put him at $34 before adding Scarlett's items. Then I looked at what was listed under Scarlett's name. 3 bottles of Barolo wine, $255. Bruschetta sampler, $12. Calamari, $18. Burrata plate, $16. Charcuterie board, $24. Wagyu steak, $95. Truffle fries, $12. Caesar salad, $9. Scarlett Mitchell's personal total was $441. Not $340 like I had been calculating, because I had been splitting the wine and appetizers mentally among everyone. But according to this itemized receipt, everything she had ordered was listed under her name. She had ordered it, it was attributed to her, and she had racked up a bill that was more than everyone else at the table combined. And she wanted us to split it evenly. I felt anger blown hot in my chest, spreading through my veins like fire. I looked up and Mia was staring at her receipt with her mouth open. Carter had gone red in the face. Oliver was showing Sophia's receipt and her eyes were huge. Scarlett was very carefully not looking at any of us, studying her phone with intense concentration. Hudson had picked up what I assumed was their combined receipt and had gone completely white. Thomas was frowning at his receipt, and Eleanor was reading over his shoulder. Emma had given us evidence, clear and undeniable, that Scarlett had manipulated this entire dinner. Liam squeezed my hand again, harder this time, and when I looked at him he nodded toward my phone. I pulled it out, not sure what he wanted, and he mouthed the words, "Take a picture." I understood. I opened my camera and took photos of our itemized receipt, clear shots showing our $47 total versus the $187 we were being asked to pay. Then I took a photo of the original bill showing the $1,122 total. Scarlett finally looked up from her phone and asked brightly if everyone was ready to settle up. That was when Mia spoke up. She said she wanted to clarify something, because according to her receipt, she and Carter had ordered $68 worth of food, so why were they being asked to pay $187? Scarlett did that laugh again, light and dismissive, and said that was the whole point of splitting evenly, so no one had to worry about every little dollar. Mia said it was not every little dollar though, it was more than $100 difference. Scarlett said that was how group dinners worked. Sometimes you order more, sometimes less. It all evens out over time. Carter said he did not remember agreeing to a group dinner. He thought everyone was paying for their own meals. Scarlett's smile was getting sharp around the edges now. She said she had treated everyone to wine and appetizers. Surely we were not going to nickel and dime her over the cost of a nice meal. Oliver, bless him, said very quietly that the wine and appetizers she had ordered without asking came to over $300. Hudson finally spoke up, his voice strained, and asked Scarlett why she had not discussed this with him first. She turned to him and said she did not realize she needed his permission to be generous with his family. Eleanor, in that gentle but firm voice that all mothers perfect over time, said that perhaps it would be simpler if everyone just paid for what they ordered. Scarlett's face went hard. She said she had tried to do something nice, tried to make Liam's birthday special, and now she was being attacked for it. No one said anything for a moment, and I could feel the dynamic shifting. Scarlett was positioning herself as the victim, the generous family member being punished for her kindness. Thomas was looking uncomfortable, clearly not wanting family drama. Eleanor was frowning but staying quiet. Hudson looked miserable. And I was done. I was done being manipulated, done being made to feel cheap, done watching Scarlett twist every situation to her advantage while playing the martyr. I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I had just taken, and used my fingers to zoom in on our itemized receipt. Then I held it up so everyone at the table could see. I said, my voice remarkably steady, that Liam and I had ordered $47 worth of food. I swiped to the next photo, the full bill, and said that the total for the table was $1,122. I put my phone down and looked directly at Scarlett. I said that according to my math, if we subtracted what Liam and I ordered, what Mia and Carter ordered, what Oliver and Sophie ordered, what Thomas and Eleanor ordered, and what Hudson ordered, that left approximately $440 attributed to Scarlett's orders. The table was silent. Scarlett started to speak, but I held up my hand. I was not done. I pulled up my calculator app, the same one she had used, and did the math right there in front of everyone. I said that $440 was 39% of the total bill. I said that asking the other 5 couples to absorb that cost by splitting evenly meant we were each subsidizing her meal by about $74 per couple. Mia said, "Oh my God." Carter said that was insane. Oliver just stared. Thomas was looking at Scarlett with an expression I had never seen before, like he was seeing her clearly for the first time. Scarlett recovered quickly, her voice taking on a hurt tone. She said she could not believe I had done this calculation, that I was ruining Liam's birthday over money, that she had only been trying to celebrate properly. I said she was welcome to celebrate however she wanted with her own money, but she did not get to volunteer everyone else's money without asking first. Hudson, his voice barely above a whisper, asked Scarlett why she had ordered so much. She turned on him, saying she did not appreciate being interrogated, that she had worked hard all week and deserved to treat herself. Mia said treating yourself was fine, making everyone else pay for it was not. Scarlett stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. She said she was not going to sit here and be attacked, that clearly we were all too cheap to appreciate a nice dinner, and that she was leaving. Thomas said firmly that she needed to sit back down. There was steel in his voice, the kind of authority that comes from raising 4 children and running a business. Scarlett hesitated, clearly not used to being commanded, but something in Thomas's expression made her slowly sink back into her chair. Eleanor asked to see Scarlett's itemized receipt. Scarlett said she did not have it, she had thrown it away. Emma, who had been hovering nearby clearly listening to everything, said she could print another copy if needed. Scarlett shot her a look that could have melted glass. Emma printed the receipt anyway and handed it to Eleanor. Eleanor studied it for a long moment, her lips pressed together in a thin line. Then she handed it to Thomas, who read it carefully before setting it down on the table. Thomas asked Scarlett directly if she had planned to order that much from the beginning. Scarlett said she had not planned anything, she had just ordered what sounded good. Thomas asked if she had intended to split the bill evenly before she ordered. Scarlett hesitated, just for a second, and that hesitation told us everything. She had known. She had walked in 30 minutes late, ordered the most expensive items without asking anyone, and had every intention of distributing the cost among the rest of us. It was not generosity, it was not celebration, it was calculated manipulation. Liam, who had been quiet through all of this, finally spoke. He said he appreciated the thought but that he would have preferred everyone pay for their own meals. Scarlett tried to smile at him, to bring him to her side, saying she just wanted his birthday to be special. Liam said it would have been special regardless of what we ate, because he was with family. It was a gentle rejection but a rejection nonetheless, and I loved him for it. Hudson asked for the check and his credit card back from Emma. He looked at Scarlett and said they needed to talk, his tone making it clear that talk was going to be more of a reckoning. Scarlett tried to salvage the situation one more time. She offered to pay for half of the wine and appetizers, splitting it with the table, if that would make everyone happy. Carter did the math out loud. Half of $325 was $162.50, divided among 6 couples was $27 each, which added to our individual meals would still be significantly more than what we had ordered. Thomas said that was not going to work. Eleanor suggested, her voice kind but firm, that perhaps each couple should simply pay for what they ordered, and Scarlett could handle her own bill. It was the most diplomatic way possible to say that Scarlett needed to face the consequences of her choices. Scarlett opened her mouth, closed it, and then gathered her purse with sharp, angry movements. She said fine, if that was how we wanted it, she would pay for everything she ordered, and she hoped we were all happy. The thing is, we were not happy, we were disappointed and frustrated and tired of the drama, but we were also relieved. Emma brought back the payment devices and we each paid for our own meals. Liam and I paid $53 total with tax and our share of the tip. Mia and Carter paid $78. Oliver and Sophie paid $61. Thomas and Eleanor paid $91. Hudson paid his $39 separately from Scarlett's. And Scarlett paid $441, her face growing darker with each button she pressed on the payment screen. Emma brought out a complimentary birthday dessert for Liam, a beautiful tiramisu with a candle, and we sang happy birthday while Scarlett stared at her phone. The dinner ended awkwardly, with people leaving in small groups. Thomas and Eleanor hugged us both, Eleanor whispering to me that I had done the right thing. Mia hugged me hard and said she was proud of me. Oliver and Sophie waved goodbye, looking relieved to escape. Hudson caught Liam's arm on the way out and apologized, said he had no idea Scarlett was planning that they were going to have a serious conversation about boundaries and money. Scarlett walked out without saying goodbye to anyone. Liam and I sat in our car for a few minutes before driving home, both of us processing what had just happened. He asked if I was okay. I said I was, surprisingly. He said he was sorry his birthday dinner had turned into that mess. I told him it was not his fault, and that standing up to Scarlett felt better than swallowing my anger and losing almost $200 would have felt. We went home, and I thought that was the end of it. But the next morning, I woke up still thinking about the dinner. Something had been nagging at me, a detail that did not quite fit. I pulled out my phone and looked at the photos I had taken of the receipts, studying them more carefully. That was when I noticed something at the bottom of Scarlett's itemized receipt, a small line of text I had not paid attention to before. Member number 7492. Member number. I pulled out my laptop and searched for Moretti's restaurant website. It took me a few minutes of clicking through pages, but I found it, a rewards program. For every dollar you spent, you earned a point, and when you reached certain point thresholds, you earned rewards. 500 points got you a free appetizer, 1,000 points got you a free entree, 2,000 points got you a free meal for two valued up to $500. I felt my skin go cold. I searched Scarlett's name in my Facebook friends list, found her page, and started scrolling back through her posts. It did not take long to find what I was looking for. 4 months ago, she had posted a photo from Moretti's with Hudson's parents, celebrating Eleanor's birthday. 3 months ago, another photo from Moretti's with some friends, girls' night out. 2 months ago, Moretti's again, this time for Hudson's company dinner. 6 weeks ago, another family dinner at Moretti's, this time including Liam and me and several cousins. Every single time, Scarlett had suggested the restaurant. Every single time, she had ordered generously, insisted on splitting the bill evenly. I went back to the rewards program website and did the math. If she had been doing this for months, racking up points on the bill she was manipulating everyone else into subsidizing, how close was she to earning that 2,000-point reward? I could not check her account, obviously, but I could make an educated guess based on how much she had been spending. If the total bills for those dinners had been similar to ours, roughly $1,000 to $1,500 each time, and she had done this at least 4 times that I could document, that was $5,000 to $6,000 in total spending. If she had manipulated the split each time the way she had done last night, she had probably spent $1,500 to $2,000 of her own money while earning points on the full amounts. She was close. She had to be close to that free $500 meal. And last night's dinner, with our $1,122 total, would have put her right over the threshold. She had not been treating us. She had not been celebrating Liam's birthday out of generosity. She had been using us, using all of us, to earn herself a free anniversary dinner with Hudson. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, feeling sick. Then I got angry. I took screenshots of everything. The rewards program page explaining the point system. Scarlett's Facebook post showing the pattern of dinners at Moretti's. The dates, the frequency, the consistent suggestion of the same restaurant. I created a document, laid it all out clearly and concisely, and sent it to Liam. He called me immediately. He said several words I will not repeat here. Then he said we needed to tell his parents. I agreed. We drove to Thomas and Eleanor's house that afternoon. They were surprised to see us but invited us in immediately. We sat in their living room, the same living room where we had celebrated countless holidays and family gatherings, and I showed them what I had found. Thomas's jaw tightened as he read through the evidence. Eleanor's expression went from confused to comprehending to coldly furious. Eleanor said she remembered those dinners, remembered thinking it was generous of Scarlett to suggest eating everyone together so often, but that the bills had always seemed high and Scarlett had always insisted on splitting evenly. Thomas said he had paid over $400 across those dinners, thinking he was contributing to family bonding. Eleanor pulled out her own phone and started looking at her credit card statements, calculating what they had spent on Scarlett's scheme. The total came to over $600 across 4 dinners. Thomas made a phone call. I could not hear who he was calling, but from the tone of his voice, it was serious. 20 minutes later, Hudson arrived looking exhausted and stressed. Thomas showed him everything I had compiled. Hudson sat down heavily on the couch and put his head in his hands. He said he had confronted Scarlett after the dinner, asked her why she had done that, and she had insisted it was not a big deal, that everyone was overreacting, that I was just bitter because I could not afford nice things. Liam bristled at that, but Hudson held up his hand. He said he had not accepted that answer, had pushed harder, and eventually Scarlett had admitted that yes, she had a rewards account, and yes, she was close to earning the free dinner, but that it was not like she had done anything wrong because everyone got to eat good food. Hudson said he had asked to see their joint credit card statements and she had refused. They had fought about it, and she had ended up sleeping in the guest room. Thomas asked Hudson a direct question. He asked if Scarlett had a history of financial manipulation. Hudson was quiet for a long time. Then he admitted that there had been issues, small things he had dismissed, credit cards he did not know about, purchases she claimed were necessary for work but seemed excessive, resistance any time he asked about their budget. Eleanor asked gently if Hudson was okay, if he felt safe in his marriage. Hudson's eyes got shiny and he said he did not know anymore. Thomas told Hudson that he needed to protect himself, needed to see a lawyer and understand his options, and that regardless of what happened, they supported him. Hudson nodded and thanked them, then looked at Liam and me. He apologized. He said he was sorry for not seeing what Scarlett was doing sooner, sorry that we had been dragged into it, sorry that Liam's birthday had been ruined. Liam told him it was not his fault and that he just wanted Hudson to be happy. They hugged, that fierce kind of hug brothers give when words are not enough. Hudson left shortly after, saying he had a lot to think about. Thomas asked me if I wanted to do anything with the information I had compiled, like share it with the extended family or post it somewhere to warn others. I thought about it. Part of me wanted everyone to know what Scarlett had done, wanted her to face social consequences for her manipulation. But another part of me, the part that had been raised to avoid unnecessary drama, hesitated. Eleanor said she understood the impulse but suggested that perhaps the better revenge was letting Scarlett face the natural consequences of her actions without us actively sabotaging her. She pointed out that if we spread this information, Scarlett could claim we were bullying her, could twist it into being the victim again. But if we simply stopped attending her suggested dinners, stopped allowing her to manipulate us, and let other people discover her patterns on their own, she would eventually run out of people willing to play along. It was wise advice and I took it. Over the next few weeks, things unfolded slowly. Hudson moved out of the house he shared with Scarlett, staying with Oliver temporarily while he figured out his next steps. Scarlett tried to organize another family dinner, this time for Mother's Day, and suggested Moretti's. Eleanor politely declined and said she would prefer a simple lunch at home. When Scarlett pushed, Eleanor said firmly that she did not feel comfortable with Scarlett's approach to group dining. Scarlett apparently tried to recruit Mia and Carter for the dinner, saying it would just be a small group. Mia told her directly that she was not interested in subsidizing Scarlett's rewards points anymore. Scarlett posted on Facebook about being excluded and mistreated by judgmental family members. Several friends commented with support, but a few people who had apparently experienced similar situations with her started sharing their own stories in the comments. The post disappeared within an hour. Hudson filed for separation in early May. I do not know all the details because it is not my business, but from what Liam told me, there were significant financial issues beyond just a restaurant scam. Credit card debt Scarlett had hidden, purchases she had made and returned for cash without telling Hudson, a pattern of financial dishonesty that went back years. Thomas and Eleanor invited Liam and me to dinner in June, just the four of us, at a nice steakhouse. Thomas insisted on paying and told us it was a thank you for being brave enough to speak up. He said he had been enabling Scarlett's behavior by going along with her schemes, and that seeing me stand up to her had reminded him that sometimes keeping peace means setting boundaries, not avoiding conflict. Eleanor gave me a long hug and told me she was proud to have me as a daughter-in-law. In July, Liam and I took our anniversary trip to Charleston. We had the full $940 saved, plus a little extra because we had not spent that $187 at Moretti's. We stayed in a beautiful bed and breakfast, ate at amazing restaurants where we paid for exactly what we ordered, and spent 3 days exploring the city without worrying about anyone else's agenda. On our last night, we went to a rooftop bar and watched the sunset over the harbor. Liam thanked me for standing up to Scarlett, said he knew it had not been easy. I told him it had been easier than I expected, because being true to myself felt better than being agreeable. He asked if I regretted how everything had turned out, the family drama, the separation, all of it. I thought about it carefully before answering. I said I regretted that Hudson was hurting, regretted that the family had been fractured, but that I did not regret exposing the truth. Scarlett's behavior was always going to catch up with her eventually, and at least this way, people could make informed choices about how to interact with her. Liam said he loved me and that he was lucky to have married someone with integrity. I kissed him and said I was lucky too. As of now, 6 months after that birthday dinner, things have stabilized into a new normal. Hudson and Scarlett are divorced. The process was apparently ugly, with financial disclosures revealing even more debt and deception than anyone had known about. Hudson is doing better, seeing a therapist, rebuilding his life. Scarlett moved to a different city for work, which everyone agreed was probably for the best. She still occasionally posts on social media about family betrayal and being abandoned, but most people have learned to recognize the pattern. The rest of the family is closer than ever. We have started a tradition of rotating who hosts family dinners, with everyone contributing a dish potluck style. It is less expensive, more personal, and no one has to worry about hidden costs or manipulated bills. Mia jokes that I should become a forensic accountant given how quickly I did that math at Moretti's. Oliver says I am his hero for having the courage to speak up. Thomas and Eleanor frequently tell the story of that dinner as a lesson in the importance of boundaries and transparency. And Liam still says that despite the drama, it was one of his most memorable birthdays, the one where his wife proved she would always protect our future together. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned that standing up for yourself is not the same as being difficult. I learned that being agreeable at the expense of your own well-being is not kindness, it is self-betrayal. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a family is refuse to enable dysfunction. I also learned that Emma the server was the real hero of that night, giving us those itemized receipts when she did not have to. I found out later that she had seen Scarlett pull the same scheme twice before with different groups and had been waiting for someone to finally call it out. I sent a glowing review to the restaurant manager about her excellent service and integrity. The money I saved from not paying that inflated bill helped make our anniversary trip perfect. But more than that, the self-respect I gained from standing up to manipulation was priceless. Scarlett tried to take advantage of family loyalty and social pressure to get what she wanted. She thought people would rather pay extra than cause a scene. She was wrong. Sometimes the most expensive meal is not the one with the highest bill, it is the one where you sacrifice your dignity to keep the peace. I am glad I chose differently.